There comes a moment so quiet, so subtle, it almost slips by unnoticed, and yet it shifts everything. It doesn't come with fireworks or emotional declarations. It arrives in silence, in a woman's choice to pull back. Not out of anger, not in a dramatic storm, but as a quiet revolution of the soul. She no longer texts first. She no longer shows up uninvited. She no longer offers her presence as a gift to someone who never asked for it. Many might call it defeat. But for her, it's liberation. It is the sacred act of reclaiming the energy once poured endlessly into someone else. She isn't being petty. She isn't pretending. She is simply no longer performing for validation. Something profound happens when a woman stops chasing. The world feels it before she even says a word. Not because she is being missed immediately, but because her absence breaks the rhythm. She was always there, always reachable, always giving, until she wasn't. And now, the silence doesn't feel empty. It feels like a question, a mirror, a shift in power. The human mind doesn't know what to do with voids. When something consistent disappears, it creates discomfort, and discomfort demands answers. That's when he begins to wonder. Not just whether she's moved on, but whether she ever truly needed him at all. And yet this isn't about him. It never really was. It's about her awakening. Because true detachment isn't a tactic. It's not manipulation. It is strength dressed in stillness. It's the refusal to be drained by someone who never saw her light clearly. It's the choice to stop explaining, stop hoping, and start living. The Stoics taught that we cannot control others, only ourselves. And a woman who understands this becomes unshakable. She's not avoiding connection. She's setting a higher standard for it. Some men won't even notice she's gone. Others will feel her absence like a ghost in a familiar room. A few may come running, suddenly curious, confused by the change, but by then her gaze has shifted. Her attention is no longer available to those who didn't earn it. Her detachment isn't about getting him back. It's about getting herself back. There was a woman once who learned this not through theory but through heartbreak. She spent months decoding silence, justifying neglect, trying to prove her worth to someone who was never really looking. Until one day, without anger or announcement, she simply stopped. She didn't block him. She didn't lash out. She just turned inward. The first few days were excruciating. The silence wasn't peaceful at first. It was a battle. But she stayed in it. And then something incredible happened. He noticed. He reached out. But now she didn't feel the pull. She had shifted from seeking to self-respecting. And that's the secret no one tells you. When you stop needing to be noticed, you start to be seen differently. Not as someone desperate to be loved, but as someone who has chosen herself. You become magnetic, not for how loud you are, but for how sure you've become. Scarcity isn't a trick. It's a reflection of value. Gold is precious not because it shouts, but because it's rare. The same is true for a woman who finally stops, giving her light to those who didn't protect it. Another woman, Monica, spent years being the one who cared more. The first to message, the last to give up. She made herself emotionally available like it was a job. And though he claimed to appreciate it, deep down he didn't treasure it. Until she stopped. She didn't slam the door, she just didn't answer it anymore. She poured herself into her own life, her own body, her own joy. And as her life filled up, the silence she left behind grew loud in his world. He began asking questions. But she no longer needed answers. Because the real power isn't in being missed, it's in not needing to be. The real power is when you wake up and no longer wonder if they'll text. You're no longer refreshing your screen, no longer tied to someone else's rhythm. You've returned to your own beat. And that energy, that calm, focused, quiet strength, it cannot be faked. It radiates. It demands respect without ever raising its voice. This is where mystery comes in, not as a weapon, but as a side effect of living with depth. When you stop revealing everything, when you live with quiet confidence, people feel it. They don't always understand it, but they feel it. The mind craves resolution, and when it doesn't get it, it becomes fascinated. That's why a Stoic woman, calm in the face of uncertainty, is unforgettable. She isn't unreachable because she's playing a game. She's simply unreachable to those who don't align with her direction. Imagine this. You text a man and he doesn't reply. You could spiral. You could double text. You could wait and analyze. Or you could breathe, let it pass, and move forward. Not because you're cold, but because you've learned that someone's silence does not define your value. Your calm response becomes your armor. While others react, you remain still. Not out of pride, but out of peace. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In this world, the enemy isn't him. It's your former self. The one who begged, who clung, who needed reassurance. You've outgrown that version. You've stopped asking, 'Does he miss me?' And started asking, 'Do I honor myself?' Because when you stop being driven by the need to be remembered, you begin to remember yourself. That's not arrogance. That's clarity. You've learned that your love isn't a weapon, and your silence isn't punishment. They are expressions of your evolution. When you stop insisting, when you stop waiting, when you stop sacrificing your peace for breadcrumbs, that's when detachment blooms. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've finally started to care about the right things. Your time, your focus, your emotional world. You are no longer living for someone's reaction. You are now living for your purpose. And when that becomes your compass, everything changes. You stop orbiting someone else's gravity. You become the center of your own universe. It's true, not every man will feel your absence. Some won't blink. Others might feel a strange emptiness. A few will realize too late what they lost. But none of that matters, because you no longer measure your worth by their awareness. You no longer seek confirmation. You simply are, whole, grounded, radiant. You don't beg. You don't chase. You don't play games. You simply walk, with calm, with confidence, with direction. And those who are meant to walk with you will. Those who aren't will fall away. And you'll remain lit from within, steady in your truth. Many women confuse detachment with punishment. They think silence is a weapon. But the real ones know it is protection. It is the shield of a woman who has seen her energy wasted and decided never again. It is the boundary of someone who understands that love without respect is not love at all. And when you live from that place, you attract not because you try, but because you are. You draw in energy that matches yours, not chaos, but clarity. Not desperation, but direction. You no longer tremble over who texts back. You don't cling to responses like lifelines. You are the lifeline. And that makes all the difference. Your attention is sacred. Your peace is precious. And your presence, it should be earned. Because a woman who waits to be chosen lives in hesitation. But the one who chooses herself, she lives in freedom. She no longer hopes to be remembered. She simply refuses to be forgotten by herself. And that is the kind of power no one can take.